Hi everybody, this is Brian David Marshall coming to you from the Tournament Center at Magic Weekend Philadelphia. I'm here with living end creator Travis Wu.
And he has brought what he's calling Sledgehammer Red.
Oh, right? No, I'm calling it Dirty Sledgehammer. So I've been working on this deck that I've been calling, I started as Dirt Cheap Dirty Red, but it's not Dirt Cheap anymore. We got the Thundermaws.
Thundermaw Hellcats,
yeah, which
sure.
came from a Sledgehammer Red build. Some guys on MTG Salvation linked me to this. 4 Thundermaws in the main deck, and I tried it out, loved it.
So you talked about this idea of starting with the card with an idea and then connecting it with something that works, and then connecting it with something that works with the first two, and now you're getting this network, and then adding more and more, and then you've got like 100 cards, and now you're pulling cards out, and then eventually you get it down to this 60 or whatever, but then it continues to evolve as things change.
How to win more at Magic the Gathering, and introducing the Magic Mastermind. Welcome in, much love, Trav here. 3, 2, 1. Woo! Yo, what up? Welcome in. Much love, Trav here. Mono Black Zombies is God tier. Tier 0.
Welcome in. Today, I have a very special, awesome guest. The man, the legend, the T-Woo himself, Travis Wu, coming in and doing 15 questions. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Much love. I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Chris. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you're beaming in from Hawaii. How's farm life treating you, and how you been doing, man? Like we miss Woo Brews.
Well, I've been doing a couple Woo Brews. I'm starting to get back in the swing of things. Like you can see on my YouTube, there's a couple, but yeah, Hawaii. I mean, I'm kind of pretty happy with the way things worked out. Hawaii is awesome. It's not like going to be a dream paradise for everyone. People go there on vacation. That's not like what the life is like. But man, you know, swim in the ocean most days, and it gets hot, but not too hot. It doesn't get too cold. And food grows 365 days a year. The farming's awesome this year. I've learned so much working with animals, working with kids, building structures, moving massive amounts of food, organic food, and working on various programs and learning power tools and how to fix things up, roofs and trucks and all these cool kind of handy stuff. So this year has really flown by doing all this, and it's a healthy way as well because we eat the food that we grow, and
Right.
I don't exercise nearly as much as I used to, but I'm still in great shape because my job, there's so much shoveling and pickaxing and carrying heavy bins and crates of produce and stuff like that. So it's a great lifestyle, and it gives me a little bit of time to game too, but it's pretty immersive. But one project I've been working on all year is writing a book about it, the food life. You know, I wrote Magic Life is about like the journey and about playing Magic. Food Life's not so much my story, but like the lifestyle, we don't remember, we don't know about it. Our ancestors have been doing it for 10,000, 200,000, 2 million years, like right. Working for our food. The reason so many people are unhappy, I think, is because we've become so disconnected from nature. And I want to write something or share something that inspires people to get closer to the food. So I'm working on that project. Probably won't come out till next year, but that's kind of what I've been up to. Really simple, not much else.
Nice. Yeah, no, it sounds great. I mean, I'll tell you what though, like, working on the farm and doing all that stuff. I mean, yeah, maybe you're not in the gym working out, but man, you're working out because that's hard work. So 10 months removed from your suspension, of Magic the Gathering, have you? I know you've talked about it on your channel, but have you spent any long-term like reflecting on it? And is there any advice you would tell past Travis Wu from today that you would do something you would do differently?
Specifically when it comes to me getting suspended?
Yeah, or just anything in general, like how you you know, I don't know, we all feel like we can improve. You know, you've had these conversations on your YouTube channel, within the mastermind. We always find ways to improve ourselves. So I don't know, I guess it's just, is there anything that you reflect on, you know, 10 months removed, I guess is basically the question.
So, I feel about the same as I did at the time. I don't think like necessarily everything happens for a reason, but some things do happen for a reason. And I'm pretty glad the way it worked out this time around, because I was kind of torn between two worlds. One, I wanted to move into agriculture, and I had all these commitments to travel and grind points. I love Magic and I want to play in Grand Prix and Pro Tours, but not like to the extent that I had committed myself. So it was a way for me to be removed from my obligations without breaking them or without quitting. So I'm pretty happy the way that it worked out. And I think, I don't know, I do miss the travel. I'm not sure if this year would have been better, but like I got this stability this year that I needed and got to go deeper. So I'm kind of happy with how it happened. As far, you know, I almost wish that I had, if anything, like not closed Magic for bad and just said, you know, do what you want with me, because it's like, it's a meme group. I'm not going to mod it. This should exist somewhere. So I don't know. I mean, I feel bad because I feel like I threw people under the bus on that one. But I mean, there's not too much. It's like there's pros and cons to controversy, and I'm kind of over it. But controversy marketing is effective, and you look historically, musicians like Sex Pistols or figureheads like Malcolm X benefit from that, and you know, the Channel Fireball controversy helped me, and I think this helped me as well. There's cons to it, you know. There's a trail in my story and on the internet of kind of unsavory things, but I mean, I can't be mad at how it's worked out, because I'm pretty happy with where I am for lifestyle. As far as things I would tell past Travis, I actually wrote a book earlier this year. It's on Amazon. It's called I Wish I Had Told Me Sooner. And it's full of those things that I wish I had known sooner. It's also like something that I could go back and rewrite every 2 years, because it's like, you know, I'm continuing to learn and be like, that's dumb, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we all have those days, weeks, months, years of just like, oh, why did you do that?
Yeah, like that's just bad advice, dude. Like, do better.
Oh, well, so moving on, you know, what led you to farming life? And I know you've had some conversations about that on your channel, but you know, was there any like specific reason why you chose farming, as well as how much has it really impacted your life, maybe spiritually, you know, in any way, really?
Right. Like, this is hard to answer because I could like spew for an hour or 2 hours on this. I think like first generally, like working with food feels incredibly normal and natural because it is. And we have evolved, but not so much that we're supposed to be sitting inside all day. As the modern, and sitting in cars and traffic as the modern lifestyle is for so many people. I think that we're, so it just, the question is like, I think if more people tried it, it just feels right. So there's two paths. One is just following what felt right. You know, I was experimenting with a lot of possible, like, what am I going to do with my life? You know, I read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week when I was young, and I was like, okay, I can do this. And I did that with Channel Fireball. Like, you know, I worked more than 4 hours, but like on side hustles, it's like, what if 4 hours paid for everything that I was doing, what would I spend all my time on? So at first it's like, why don't I would just work out all the time and try to be like a pro athlete. It's like, well, I'm not really on track for that. Like, I'm too old actually, and doing different. Or like, what if I, spend my time surfing, or like, I kind of like spending my time writing books or making YouTube videos. Then I was just trying out different things. I tried out farming, and I was like, this just kind of feels right. And reason it feeling right was because I like to eat food, for one, like good organic food, and it's social, and it's outside, and it's exercise. It's like the next thing closest to like pro sports, but it's like matters more. It's like farm, it matters a lot. Is another reason, like with magic, it's like, this is fun, but what's it for? Why does it matter? But with food, it's like, we've got serious problems with our food system, with people eating, cancerous food. A third of U.S. is obese. So there's an epidemic of opiates, and I think food's the answer. So I want to work in that space because it's important. And then like the specific path to it is actually Ty Lopez.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people will just hate Ty Lopez. I think they don't know his story or understand, because he is like semi-scammy. Like, you sign up for his program for $67 and then it's recurring, and you didn't know that. So like, I get it. But his story, here's this guy who, just the short version of his story is like, he was a poor kid with no dad. And at 18, instead of going to college, he went and worked at Polyface Farms in Virginia. And he really is all about books. And I was reading this book, everyone knows Michael Pollan, Omnivore's Dilemma. And it's like, I'm learning about the food system right now, and I'm learning about this type of farming that's organic, biodynamic, that creates better food, that's less disease. And then here's this guy that I'm learning from, who's like, was the first apprentice intern there, and he went on to live with the Amish, and is like reflecting on this as being his happiest 5 years of his life. Then Ty goes and does like nightclub business, investing, moves to Beverly Hills, buys a Lamborghini, moves to Hollywood Hills. But then he's like, okay, actually, I'm just going to buy a ranch in Virginia and do horse plowing of cornfields and go back to that. It's like, I think it's worth paying attention to people who have the choice, because not a lot of people have done both or have the choice, and being like, that really led me to think, I tried a lot of things. I haven't tried farming. Why don't I try that? So, everything was kind of leading me there. So I started volunteering at a community garden and enjoyed that, leaving with my bag of garlic and berries and, whatever after the volunteer. And then from there, someone invited me to volunteer at the local city farm, which is like 7 acres, had goats and stuff. So I started going there on Friday, and I started going there on Wednesday. I'm going there twice a week, but I'm like going off and traveling and coming back because of the magic stuff. But I'm like, I can't commit to it, but maybe I would want to do this full time. So for me, with all the travel for magic, it wasn't just enjoyable. It's like searching, where do I want to live? What do I want to do? Hawaii was always on my radar. So I was lucky to, Grand Prix Portland, I'm playing for top 8 basically. And I had screwed up and put myself in a position where I needed to top deck an untapped land to win. And I top deck a basic plains to make it to the top 8 and win an invitation to Hawaii. Come to Hawaii, and I have a local friend, Sean Pottinger, and he's like really involved in the community. And farming's already on my radar. It's what I want to do. So I asked Sean if he knows any cool farms in Hawaii. He knows about this one, Kahumana, through this youth program that he worked for. So I came out here and managed to volunteer and stay for a week. And then the next year, so this is like took years to happen, 3 or 4 years to happen. The next time, like last year, on the way back from Japan to the mainland from the Pro Tour, why don't I stop in Hawaii? It's on the way. It doesn't cost me money. So that's when I was here for 3 months doing it full time, and it's like, okay, I would actually do this, but I have all these obligations. and then left to go on tour, and that's when it was like suspended. So I was like, you know what, that's awesome. Let me just go back to the farm and do it full time for a year. So I came back for New Year's, and I haven't done any traveling this year. I haven't left since. So that's kind of the short reason, but well, that's medium. It's kind of long, actually. That's rambling. I think more people should try growing their own food. Not everyone needs to be a farmer, but like gardening is an awesome hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree. Like, and as far as, I mean, clearly it's completely had a positive influence in your life. If you had just one thing to say, one takeaway to say, this is what has really impacted me from doing this, like, what would it be? Just.
I would say fulfillment. It's more fulfilling because if we send out 500 pounds of organic mixed produce and salad greens on like a Monday, and then I know that's going to a bunch of people who are eating it, it's like that mattered. My work mattered. And I can't say that for every job that I've had, that it like really, really matters. So I think like this is it feels like a more fulfilling thing.
Nice. Yeah, I can completely understand that. All right. So the last question is kind of gonna talk more about sort of the game that we both love to play, and what are some of the top things that you felt you've missed since you've been gone from professional Magic or competitive Magic?
Yeah, well, I'm glad I was kind of freed from some of those obligations. I do miss things. The first thing being particular people, that was the only way that I saw a lot of people living all around the world, and that was really cool and lucky to make friends all over. But there's so many people I haven't seen that I would otherwise see, like my bros. And then I was kind of sick of the travel. I missed that a little bit, but I'm glad to have a break from it. One thing is I've come back to playing online for this, is missing the complexity. Like, it's so complicated when it comes to like farming. Some of it's complicated. A lot of it's really simple. Like, we're going to spread this massive mulch pile for the next hour, or we're going to weed this bed for the next 2 hours. And it's like, you'll throw on a podcast or something, but I found myself like wanting to like, one thing I noticed is my mind was like so freed. It's like, this is nice, but then I would like go to ruminating or like just going through my memories and stuff, and it's like, I want to like put my mind to something, anything. So starting to think about Magic and think about decks and like think about cards kind of takes the whole brain, and then I can focus on something. And then having trips to look forward to and prepare for. I do miss some things, so I'm looking forward to, if not coming back, like planning to come back, like.
Yeah, you said you were you had mentioned, or I heard you were planning on going to Vancouver, right? Possibly.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not 100% on that, but that's like, if I'm home I'll probably be home for the holidays in December, and can ride up with friends. And then that seems, although they switched it from team to limited, so I was like kind of locked in for team, and now it's individual, so I could cancel if I wanted. I don't know if I'm going to book it, but I'm definitely looking at that, and that's one of the reasons I'm playing online. It's like, I need to know Ravnica. If I'm going to do well, I should try to win, or if I'm going to go, I should try to win.
All right, so let's go ahead and move into talking about Magic the Gathering specifically. So one of the things, and I kind of scoured your channel, and I was kind of looking for stories on how Travis Wu started playing Magic the Gathering. What is Travis Wu's origin story. Like, what hooked you into Magic? What got you there? And what is kind of that origin story of Travis Wu in playing Magic?
Yeah. Okay. So, 1995. I'm 5 years old. My brother's 7. He's going to this new like kind of special school of nerds or smart kids, whatever. And one of his classmates, some of his classmates have Magic cards. And then he asked, I guess, maybe he asked our parents for some for Christmas. So 95 Christmas, pull out a pack of The Dark from my Christmas stocking and open a Berenstain gear.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that was cool. But we were playing lots of different other games, like we had Nintendo 64 and Legos and stuff. I think like, well, one thing that kept us playing is like it just endured. You know, like most other, we were playing DBZ and Lord of the Rings and Pokemon, those games. Some of them still kind of exist, but like Magic just kind of endured. So there's always people to play with. A lot of the video games and stuff died, but Magic stayed. So it was just, you know, play what other people were playing. And there was always people to play with. Like one thing that hooked is just having a brother to play with. So, you know, if I didn't have a brother, I might have been doing other things. But since we were playing it together, that was a thing. But then it was like, you know, some of our friends at our private school played it, and then we went to public school, and some of our friends, people that played at public school, and then started going to F&M, and there's just like so many players. So I think that's really what kept it going. Like obviously it's a fun game, but it's a social game. You know, if I didn't have a brother, maybe I'm just like playing a single player video game or something like that. But here's a way we can all sit down, and I can have my birthday parties, like bring in 8 friends. We're gonna do a booster draft. Yeah, it was just a great social game that endured. So I'm still playing because my friends are still gonna play. Like, I don't care if the new Artifact Dota card game is like better, because, you know, it doesn't have the mass of players. My friends are playing Magic, you know.
Right. So speaking of, you know, when you were playing with your brother and you know, back when you started Magic, what was sort of your favorite either cards to play with or a deck? You know, like what was like your sort of go-to when you first started playing?
So like pre-tournaments, I remember I had like a couple like competitive decks. They weren't you know, they wouldn't have been good in tournaments, I imagine, but it was like, if I'm trying to beat a kid at school, this is the deck I play.
Yeah.
The first one, I had this black reanimation deck. It used Vampire Hounds, which is a 3-mana 2/2. You discard a creature to give it +2/+2. And Victimize is 3 mana, sacrifice a creature, return 2 creatures from your graveyard to play. And then I would use like, I think I had like Lord of the Pit, and then like something you could recur to sacrifice, or so like dragons, but try to like a sick reanimation deck. And then the other one that I had pre-tournaments was the blue-white control, like a couple Wrath of Gods and stuff like that. But it was a lock deck. You had Island Sanctuary, which for 1 and a white, if you skip your draw step or your draw, you can't be attacked by non-flyers. So I'd throw down an Island Sanctuary and a Howling Mine. So I'm still drawing 1 card a turn. They're drawing 2 cards a turn, but I can ignore every creature that doesn't have flying,
right,
and just use some counter spells to control the flyers and disruption. And the problem with that one though is no one would ever play with me again, like against that deck, because yeah, it was a lock deck basically.
Oh man, that sounds so much fun. Like I make prison decks just for the heck of it, not because I know they're great. It's just because it's sometimes fun to play. So, you know, getting away from actually playing the game, you know, one question I like asking, because it kind of elicits some interesting answers, and that's, what is your least favorite thing that, say, Wizards of the Coast has sort of created or released or changed about the game in modern day? And, you know, I mean, it's I know this is a very broad question, but, you know, is there something that sticks out in your mind that you're just not a fan of? That they've done in recent years, and let's just say the last 10 years maybe, or 5 years?
I'm generally pretty happy about the game itself. Like, there's some bans I don't agree with, or some cards that shouldn't have been, whatever. That's really hard to do it perfect, and you can't patch like online games. So I'm pretty happy with the cards. I'm unhappy that, for one, like most of the changes that have happened have been like so many side grades. They changed something that's, you could say, oh, people hate change, but it's like, it's nice that you make a change and everyone's like, that's awesome, I'm glad you did that. And they've done a couple of those things, but so many of them are just head scratching, like the way they changed the pro point system, or like they changed the PTQ to PPTQ and then back, or they changed like small changes that just don't matter very much when there's big changes that they failed to do. So I'm more bothered by big changes that they failed to do. And I mean, one of those is like, there's probably broader things that I'm just missing because I'm like, pro, or my friends are pro. So it's just to me, it's head scratching why in the last 10 years, 20 years, like the prize purse for pros has not increased, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice if the pro lifestyle was like actually paid people decently. And I mean, that's a topic now that's been a topic for so long, and that's just something they failed to do. That, I mean, maybe, I don't know how the financials are doing right now, maybe they're not there to do it, but like during this massive growth boom, it definitely could have been there, and they didn't do it. So it would have been nice if they had upped the purses back when like everything was doubling, like 2007 to 2014 or whatever. So I'm a bit disappointed, but as far as actually playing the game, like generally I think the sets have been good, and yeah.
Nice. And then to kind of cap this off, like, I know the community part is a big, piece of it, meaning, playing with your friends, but aside from the community side of Magic the Gathering, like, what is your favorite thing about Magic? Is it the cards, or is it a particular card, or is it just how they sort of create them? Like, what is one of your favorite things about Magic the Gathering?
My favorite thing about Magic is that it's social. As more and more people are turning to immersive online experience, online games, and with the future, I don't know what's going to happen, but augmented reality and virtual reality, and kids and adults just like going deeper, and the gap between my virtual life is this and my real life is this, and like the gap's growing. It's like my virtual life is better than my real life. That's scary. And Magic is this way to like go offline. It is an alternate world, and I do play online, but that's not my favorite part. The favorite part is like sit down across from someone, sit down at a table of 8 people. Like, what other games can you name where 8 people come and sit down together? I can't think of any, it's like, and that's not the way our society is going. So like, I'm really rooting for Magic to be this kind of offline counterculture, bring people together, social, enduring thing that is a way for real life and gaming to come together in an offline space and be awesome.
Sweet. Yeah. No, I hear you, man. I kind of second that motion. Okay, so now we've reached to the part of the interview where we do 5 questions as fast as we can, as fast as you can say yes or no. So I'll read the question, you answer yes or no, and then I will move on to the next. So our first question for the Fast 5 is, will Magic the Gathering last another 25 years?
Yes.
Will the reserve list ever get printed again?
No.
do you like planeswalkers in the game?
Yes.
Do more cards need to be unbanned?
No.
And in your opinion, will Hasbro sell Wizards of the Coast?
No.
So with those 5 questions, I always like to follow up quickly. Is there anything of those 5 you want to sort of comment more on or unpack, or something you would like to expand on, or you pretty?
Well, I would just say the question is, will Magic the Gathering last another 25 years? I mean, yes and no is challenging, because I want to say I don't know, or I hope so. Will Magic last another 25 years? I don't know, but I hope so. I think it will, though, because, I mean, I could see, you know, if Hasbro dies and Wizards dies, Magic the Gathering will still live. Those cards are not going to disappear, and people will continue to play. People will continue to play because, you know, we're hefted, we're invested, we're acclimated to it. It's what we do, and so many people are also like, there's a lot of people who are invested in it succeeding. Like all the people at Hasbro, all the people at Wizards, all the people at Star City, Channel Fireball, TCG, all the Haruruya, you know, all the dealers and all the pro players and the content writers. Like, so many people are like trying to keep building this stack of cards, this card pyramid, and like, I think it will survive for that reason.
Yeah, I think, and that's the one reason why I like the question in yes and no, and again, the reason is because it's a challenging one, right? Because, you know, you can't really say yes or no, but you have to, right? And then you have to sort of just think about it afterwards. All right, so our last few questions, just to sort of wrap this up. And these are going to center more towards, well, I'll just get into it. So the first question is, let's put you in the director's chair at Wizards of the Coast. You are a creative director at Wizards of the Coast. If you could say, I want to change this right now, or I want to change how the sets are created, or change something, what would it be as far as how sets or game design is done for the game?
You know, I don't think I would change much, if anything. Like, I've been in there. I had a marketing internship, but that was like my foot in the door to like sit in R&D and pay attention. I don't think that's like either my strength or my responsibility to design the sets. But if I had more control over things related to that, like personnel, you know, I want to get back to like hiring top pro players off the tour, which they kind of did. I feel, I mean, I don't want to hate on the team because they've done well, but like, you know, I live in Seattle. I look at Glassdoor for Wizards. I have friends who work for Wizards. It's known they don't pay that well. They don't treat their employees that well. People think they're going to come get their contract renewed, and they don't. They don't pay comparably. And I would love to, like, you know, I think they have a lot of B players, to be honest, who could maybe become A players if there are more competition or paid more. So. But it's not like there's just free money to go around. But, you know, I think that if there had been higher pay in Magic for the Magic Online development, a lot of problems would have been avoided. If there's higher pay in R&D and they're bringing people from the Pro Tour in there, then a lot of problems with pro play that we've seen, people, you know, a lot of pros are mad, would have been avoided. So. You know, I don't know if that's still available to them because I don't know what their finances are, but I know that they were doing so well, they could have done all that. Maybe they still can. Yeah.
Well, I know, and I don't know much about it, but I heard about the pro committee, so I don't know what that's about. But it sounds like they're starting to try and sort of include them more, or meaning the pro players, which I think is, I guess, a step in the right direction. But that's kind of more about competitive play versus, I guess, design. All right. So then one of the last questions that I have is, for people who are getting into competitive Magic, what advice would you give those people about you know, if they've never played a competitive REL event, like what advice would you give to somebody who is just starting out in competitive Magic?
Yeah, well, it depends if they've started or not started. If they've never played and they're thinking about it, do it. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. Right? Wouldn't want to give too much advice because sometimes people do it and like, actually, Grand Prix wasn't that fun. So, right. But if it's once someone started going and, you know, it depends on their goal. If their goal is to play, if their goal is to play on the Pro Tour, if their goal is to play on the highest level, a couple things. One is like you have to be persistent. You know, you can't quit because you didn't top 8 right away. It's so hard to do. So you should just kind of try to have fun and make the goal of the weekend not just to get the event finish you want, but also like I want to meet X, Y, and Z people and or you know experience the whole thing, get my deck signed, my card signed, or you know whatever. Like enjoy the full thing. So persistence. And then there actually, I really believe in mentorship and learning from people who have, you know, who have done it. You can learn. We don't learn to speak English by ourselves. You know, we don't learn math by ourselves. We don't learn anything best by ourselves. We learn best from studying from people who have done it. So, I mean, you can do that by reading the articles, and that's a good free thing you can do. You can watch videos. If you can go watch pros play at those events, like, you know, your round is finished and go watch and talk to the top players that are playing. That's a good thing that you can do. And then for preparing, like, there's different coaching stuff out there. We have Magic Mastermind, which is awesome. And you're in this, Chris.
Yep.
And we got a network of a lot of serious players, pro players, ex-pro players preparing. And I think that's helpful for anyone. It's like, if I'm coming off from a 10-month break and I want to get back into it, I'm just going to use the mastermind group and ask for a deck recommendation, ask for some tips on how to build for the sealed and the limited format, and then I'm going to do that. So even for me, it's a huge help. And if people are serious about wanting to be the best they can be, then I recommend they check out the mastermind so they can learn from the top players. But the goal is to just start playing and then see how you feel about it.
Nice. So, in the interest of time, you know, one of the last things I kind of just wanted to have a casual sort of question to finish this off, and that's, what's next for Travis Wu? I know, you know, you're farming in Hawaii, you're thinking about Vancouver, but do you have any long-term goals for Magic the Gathering or yourself? You know, I mean, is there things that you're striving for or looking to do within the next 12 months?
So one thing is, like, made a commitment to be here, and I plan on doing that. I don't see what I would do instead. So I'm planning on I feel like I don't know if I'm going to be working in here or what exactly I'm going to be doing, but I probably see myself working in agriculture, like, from here on out. I think it just makes sense, and then Hawaii makes a lot of sense. So when I'm looking at that's kind of like my given now, and that means that one is I'm going to be based in Hawaii, which means I'm looking at kind of Hawaii is like the island that's furthest from any mainland. It's like super remote. Yeah, so it makes it hard to like go to a bunch of things. So I'm not going to go to a bunch of things. But, you know, I miss having a couple things on my calendar to look forward to and reason to travel and so on. And there's so I'm looking at basically like U.S. West Coast and Asia East Coast and Oceania. So, you know, Vancouver from Hawaii to Seattle round trip is like, I got my ticket just now for $370. So, like, that's pretty doable. I'm not going to Europe, you know, it's just too far also.
Yeah.
So the calendar just came out, and I'm kind of looking at that stuff. There's Seattle next June, which I'd like to try to do. Possibly there's there's a couple. I don't think there's none in New Zealand that I saw, and there's a couple in Australia, but they're at the wrong time for me. There's a couple in Japan. I would like to make one to Japan. It's not too expensive to get there, and an excuse to go hike Mount Fuji would be cool, because my friend did that and I didn't. I slept through it.
Oh no.
Well, not unintentionally. He did it like the day before the Grand Prix, like skipped the night sleep or whatever. I was like, come on, man, I'm just trying to win here. But then like a year later, it's like, well, that's an experience I wish I had. So yeah, not too. The most next year would be like Seattle or Vancouver, Seattle, Japan. Probably not more than that. But for me, it's just for fun. Like I don't have too many goals really. It's not like I'm trying to requalify. I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. I just want to like see my friends and have something to prepare for a couple times. So I hope to see people at a few events. It's not a given that or guarantee that I'll go to anything, but I'm definitely looking at it, and it's kind of moving in that direction.
Cool. Speaking of hiking, real quick, have you hiked Haleakala yet in Maui?
You know, I live in Oahu, and I haven't been to Maui since I was 16.
Okay.
But I was on this. This is public school, by the way, but we were on marine biology trip, 60 kids for 2 weeks to Maui. We were camping, so it was pretty low budget, but we went up to Haleakala, that's the tallest mountain in Maui, early in the morning for sunset or sunrise. So we didn't hike it, but we drove. I think you drive to the hike or something.
Yeah. So you drive all the way up. It's like almost 11,000 feet, and then you hike down. It's a long hike. Like I did it in like 6.5 hours. Whew, it's a long hike, but it's pretty and it's really, really invigorating.
Yeah, I do a lot of hikes out here. Maybe today, possibly. So
nice. Well, Travis, again, I can't thank you enough for joining me and taking some time out of your day. I know you're pretty busy these days. I just appreciate you taking some time today.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for picking my brain and letting me ramble. And yeah.
Well, we look forward to I'm looking forward to some more Woot Brews and seeing in the mastermind more often, and I've been seeing a lot of the stuff flowing through, so it's pretty sweet. So glad to have you back, and it'll be great to see you at least being able to come back to some events.
Yeah, and then if y'all want to follow me, Travis D. Woo on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. What else?
YouTube.
Yeah. Those are the big ones.
I'll drop everything out in the description below, so everybody can check you out, man.